Welcome into the Crystal Creek Homes podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Jason Thomsen with Bridge Advisory. And as usual, also, we are still joined by Justin Bobier, founder, president, CEO of Crystal Creek Homes, and by Koby Contenti, dealing representative at Rethink and Diversify Securities. Gentlemen, it's great to have you in. Justin, why don't you join in, introduce yourself, and we'll get started there. We're going to talk about the University District today. So tell us just at a very high level, what is the University District project and when did Crystal Creek get involved with this one?
Sure. So I'm Justin Bobier. I'm the founder of Crystal Creek Homes and still very actively involved in the business. We were approached a number of years ago about a project at the University District here in Calgary. And for those that aren't familiar, University of Calgary about 10 to 12 years ago embarked on a journey of trying to copy some of the templates across the country of creating more of a university style lifestyle, if you will. And they created a residential section in Calgary. It's called University District. There's no single family homes, but there's a lot of multifamily, a lot of retail, and very, very energetic. It is probably one of the most desirable places to live in the city of Calgary. And so that's what we're going to chat a little bit about today.
Wonderful. Sounds great. And Koby, I know this is a project that you've been presenting to your investors now for the better part of 6 months. How has it been received? What kind of excitement level is there among the investors that you've been working with for this project?
Yeah, it's been actually closer to over a year now since this project first came online, and it's been fantastic. A lot of people are very excited about the energy, not only for the units that Crystal Creek is building, but just to be a part of this community. I don't know if any of you have been there, but if you walk through it, you've got your banks, your hotels, your sandwich shops, your movie theaters, your grocery stores, kind of all on one main strip, and it's a fantastic space. And so, yeah, tons of energy around it for sure.
That's great. Yeah, you're right. It's well over a year at this point.
It-
We were launched it back in the fall of 2023. So
that's correct,
it's been a while. Just time gets away from me for some reason there.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it is such an exciting project, and it is such a cool dynamic and a cool environment. I know, Justin, the first time that you guys brought us out there, and we actually kind of walked around in the University District and saw all of the commercial development that's already so established in that area, the walkability of the main thoroughfares, the close proximity to the university, and all the amenities in that area as well. It's such a unique opportunity, a unique community within Calgary, and it's very close proximity to downtown. So even though you're not in downtown, you get a lot of the convenience of still being inner city, having access to everything that there is to offer in that area in Calgary. And the quick access out to the west, if you're someone who loves the mountains, that's always a nice benefit as well. So let's talk a little bit about the history of the project, how you got involved from the very beginning, and what that process kind of looked like, Justin, from being approached by the University of Calgary group, and sort of the unique aspects of this community. What drew you to this? What got you so excited about being a part of this particular project?
Sure. So, the CEO of the University District at the time, James Robertson, was formerly with the city and was really highly regarded in terms of his ability to create communities. And University District really first started to come to fruition in 2012, 13, 14, the concept, and then really starting to bring it into life where then there was units under construction in 2017. Really, they took the template from UBC out of Vancouver and said, look at this incredible hub that has been created within the city, and it's a lifestyle of choice that is going to be good for university students. That is what the expectation was, and just sort of creating that vibe and energy, being close to the university district. So from there, what ended up happening was a bit of an unknown, where as they started to create these spaces and as they started to create these energetic retail spots, what they started to notice is the majority of the demographic that was moving and buying was actually not university students attending university. It was actually postgraduate students or people actually in the plus 50 category that wanted to kind of downsize, be close to the energy, have a really walkable type community. And it's just created this incredible energy. We were first introduced to University District in about 2021, 2022, when there was talk of, we'd like to bring in a high-end luxury builder to build townhomes, because that's the closest thing to single-family homes that exist on University District. And so Crystal Creek came to mind. And so after, negotiations and about a year of going back and forth, we were able to strike a deal on a project and come up with a luxury townhome style project that really fit well into that demographic of that plus 50 crowd, of giving luxury finishes, kind of elevators, rooftop patios, the things that you would expect to see in a luxury boutique project, and really hits well with the demographic that is interested in being in that area.
That's tremendous. Yeah, it is such a unique product, not just even in the community, but in Calgary as a whole. There's so little that really compares with it throughout the city as far as the quality of finishes, the level of luxury that you're getting in these townhomes at the price point, especially. But it fits in such a unique way into the university district as well, because as you mentioned, the entire community is multifamily. So these luxury townhomes that you're building, this is about as close as you get to an estate home in this community. So
Uh,
something a product that you're very familiar with at Crystal Creek that you're well known for. This is sort of the offering that compares to that in this community.
For sure. And I think that that's really what the draw was between the university district approaching us and us being a fit in the community. I know that when I did my own sort of research of hitting a few of the restaurants and, hitting a few of the retail spots, it really is an active, energetic community that really does seem to be populated by the plus 50 crowd. Although, you see young students there, you see young families as well. And it's just really, really interesting from, what I originally thought would make up the demographic in this community versus the people that are actually moving and wanting to be there. And I think from our conversations and the feedback that we've had since our sales center has opened is there's a lot of people that have vacation homes that they like to travel to, and they want lock and leave and be able to not have to worry about who's going to cut the grass, who's going to pick up the mail, things like that at home. And we have the ability to up and leave at a moment's notice if we want. And so with a lot of people having the ability to work from home, this is a community that really kind of aspires to that energetic professional that I think for a lot of people want to relive a little bit of their youth of attending university and being in walking distance and all the sporting activities and events, and everything is so walkable. It actually doesn't really feel like you're in Calgary when you're living in the community, because very little cars driving around. It's everybody's out on the street, walking around, going for breakfast, hitting the gyms that are available, hitting the retail shops, the restaurants, the bars, all of that sort of stuff. And of course, even the Alt Hotel has created a beautiful hotel right there, which is great for when you have family visiting, and you don't want family to be that close. And so
Yeah.
having sort of that ability or short-term rentals within the community is available for your guests.
That's tremendous. And Koby, you recently relocated within the city of Calgary. You moved kind of out into the same neck of the woods. Now it's not the exact same community, but you're only a stone's throw away from this area. Is this an area that you frequent with your girlfriend? Head out with your friends? Do you guys head down to the restaurants, the shops, the cinema, stuff like that down in this area?
We've definitely used the VIP Cineplex. It's quite a different experience if you haven't experienced that already. But no, I can see the development going on from just across the river where I'm at, and yeah, tons of energy. And I think they're adding a whole new section too on the east side of the hospital as well. So it seemed to be expanding quite tremendously. But yes, I can see it going on, and I'm sure we'll start to take advantage a lot more here soon.
Yeah, it sounds great. And now, Koby, you've also, again, you've been working with investors in this community over the last little while. I know one of the things, especially for the local investors, the ones that are located right in Calgary, one of the things that they really enjoy about partnering with Crystal Creek is the fact that they can kind of see progress throughout their investment hold period. We're about a year into this project. There's been some pretty significant progress in this community. The opening of the sales center last year, all of the construction that's going on, the hole's been dug, foundation work's going, all that sort of stuff. How often do you hear from investors that they're going by and just having a look to see how things are going?
Very frequently. It's funny. A lot of my calls start with, "Hey, so I just drove by this area and was wondering about these two units," or "Hey, I seen this going on. What's that about?" Or so it's very, very proactive. A lot of my investors love to be able to go in, talk to the sales agent, go and see the land itself, see what progress construction is at. But definitely a huge factor for those here in Calgary.
Yeah. And speaking of that sales center, Justin, this is a pretty unique sales approach to a community. This isn't something that we typically see in most suburban communities. Typically, you would have your show home that you would build kind of within each new phase of construction. That might carry over for one or two phases from time to time, but the home builder generally is responsible for building a product that you're going to showcase and sell from. In this situation, you did have a space to build in and you went in and did an installation, but it's in a central sales center with the other builders in the community that are offering different product. There's the condo builders that are right in that same sales center. There's other townhouses that are being offered as well. But you're all working in one central space. How has this experience been for you? I know you've been open for almost a year now.
Yeah, so it's really nice to partner with the University of Calgary in creating this community. And what they did was take a slightly different approach, and they created a community sales center. It's approximately 15,000 square feet. Currently, within the community, there's 4 active projects, and it's interesting because the projects are all slightly different. Some are smaller units that are for rental. Some are kind of mid-sized units that are for sale. There's a high rise that is going up that is more on the luxury side, but more of a condo apartment style building. And then, of course, there's our project, which is luxury townhomes that have views and that sort of thing. And so what's kind of nice is that it just goes to show that in that sales center, as people enter into, they get to see an oversight of the entire community and the vision of what is being created within the university district. They get to visit with the 4 different projects that are currently on the go. And so for us, that's really nice because we feel we have a competitive advantage in terms of the product offering that we have that really is designated for one certain type of demographic. And we're not competing with anybody else with the other 3 projects. Although you do see a little bit of overlap from time to time in terms of people wanting to maybe be in a certain product but can't afford it, or being well able to afford it but realizing like to spend less and save more time for travel and do some of the other things that we like to do. Again, probably the biggest thing I would say is in that discovery center is the energy is really remarkable, especially on the weekends where we'll have anywhere from 30 groups, in at a single time, and everybody is milling about. It's really becomes like a retail center. They've kind of got a coffee spot there that you can sit and have a coffee. You can take a look at some of the fit and finishes of the different projects. And so they've really created a beautiful welcome center for people to get included into the community as to what's going on. This is how you can purchase a new property or rent a new property. And so it's a fantastic sales center that creates that welcome to University District. Here's what we're about. And they've really gone above and beyond in terms of what that experience is like for individual people coming in.
That's wonderful. And how has the sales process been? Has the pace been picking up? I know as soon as ground got broken, all of a sudden there was a lot more fervent interest in these products. So how have things been going over the last couple of months here?
Well, it's kind of interesting because we are a little bit late as a builder entering into the university district. There's been other builders before us. And I think when we first launched, we were really excited and we had a ton of interest. And, I think that first week we had 6 conditional sales and, there was a lot of momentum in the beginning. However, what we started to get and what we noticed from the public was a little bit of, well, when are you starting on construction? And of course, we were in pre-construction, getting ready to start. And unbeknownst to us, apparently there's been a few projects that have been delayed, sometimes up to a year. And so, we were in fact pretty much right on plan in terms of when we were going to go into the ground. However, we probably released our sales cycle maybe a little bit early, not realizing some people had that experience. So to date, right now, we're building 40 luxury townhomes, of which 10 are confirmed sold. We have a couple that are on hold, and of course, a database of people that are really kind of coming back to us now and saying, well, when can you guarantee me possession? The first building has just gone into the ground. We've been doing site works for approximately 4 to 5 months with some retaining walls and things like that that needed to be created. And so we're just getting started on the first building. And so now we can start to promise, when possession dates will be looking. And so we're seeing kind of an increase in terms of our activity now that we are underway. And I will still say there's a lot of people that want to be able to walk the final unit before making a decision. And so it's kind of nice the way our financing is set up. We're not restricted on sales at this point. We can just go ahead and build out the project. So we expect to see as we get a little bit closer, those units getting eaten up as we have a model unit that people can physically walk through.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as soon as that first building is getting close to being done and people can kind of see what it is that you've been putting together, I think you're going to see a real flurry of activity. We're definitely looking forward to that.
And we certainly did when the site works were underway. We saw a lot of people coming saying, oh, you're started. Great. Now we can move forward. And we said, well, time out. We haven't started on the first building yet. We're just doing our site works. And so now now that we've started on the first building, we're seeing that increased activity. And so we would probably, we're expecting to see an uptick in sales, and we would expect to see at least another 10 to 15 sales this year now that we are starting through the project.
Tremendous. And Koby, in terms of the investment, this is something that was launched about a year ago. I know there's been a price increase in the units that are being offered on the limited partnership side. This is also an investment that is included in the mutual fund trust allocation. So for investors who are looking to use the mutual fund trust to access the portfolio of projects, this is one of the key pieces of that pie. But for investors who are investing directly into the limited partnership, what have they seen so far and what can they be looking forward to here over the coming months?
Yeah, I know they're excited. Preferred returns on this investment have just started paying out, and so they're finally starting to see the fruit of their labor come to fruition. And so, being able to hear from Crystal Creek that construction has started, they're anticipating, a little bit higher of a sales pace coming in. Still a lot of excitement. And yeah, for those guys who got in a year and a half ago at a more favorable unit price, opposed to Class B that is currently issuing, to see that unit price go up and say, great. Kind of the land has been paid down in this project and it's kind of been de-risked a little bit. They're definitely happy.
Yeah, and that price escalation is it coincides with de-risking of the project, right? It's as the project achieves major milestones, the confidence of success goes up, and so the unit price goes up correspondingly to reflect that new picture of the risk profile. We are still sitting at a 75-cent unit on this one, so there's lots of upside left. It is still paying a 10% preferred return as well. So those preferred distributions, which have now started, will be being paid out on a quarterly basis. There's some accrued distributions for the early investors that will also get paid out eventually in the project as well. So lots of good happening for sure in terms of the current income generation. but also the profit share on the back end is looking like it's going to be very successful as well. The project's on track. We're seeing all those major milestones being accomplished. And Justin, as we see that sales pace pick up, that's just good for the project, good for the community. Are there any things that you're specifically looking forward to with this project? I know obviously when you have your unveiling of the first unit, that's going to be a bit of a momentous occasion. Is there anything else beyond that that you're really excited about for this one?
Well, when I think about myself, I would live in one of these units,
Yeah,
especially when you consider what, the part of the city that, we're in, the desirability of the community, the walkability of it. I mean, it's just, like I've said a couple times, unless you've been there and paid a visit, you don't quite understand the energy because it certainly doesn't feel like the city of Calgary to me. And there'd be no reason to leave the community once you're in it. For me, I think what's interesting about this, creating a luxury townhome project like this is just really seeing it come to fruition of, just having this on the ground and creating, kind of a Crystal Creek community within the larger university district. Really excited to see how the community that we have created, designed will come to fruition, especially with creating an amenity like the rooftop patios that are going to have mountain views and how accessible those are by having a standard elevator in each of the units so that it goes right up to the rooftop patio, right down to the garage, and just kind of really getting a sense of the people that have purchased from us already. I've met a number of the customers who have decided to go forward with the project and put down deposits and secure units. It'll be just really interesting to me to see the joy that they get to experience of moving into the community in something that is going to fit them perfectly. I think what I've heard from some of the people that have purchased from us, they love the fact that they have their own garage space. They have a double garage that they're going to be able to either put their tools away or they have a spot for their own storage, and it's theirs. It's not open to the public, and it's not in a open parkade type area where they've got a storage unit. So that's been really interesting to me. I know that we've designed these as 2-bedroom units, which is really a 1.5 time primary suite, if you will, and a smaller sort of guest suite. And I know that some of the people that have purchased have said, we can't believe the size of the primary suite and what we're going to be getting. We're really excited with that, really luxury finishes in the ensuite to really give that modern experience and that modern feel. And of course, then having the amenity space up on the rooftop is just nice to have that privacy. And I think the way we've created it, I'm really excited just to see how private those units really are, because you can't really see your neighbors from your patio unless you take one of the end units, which most people, are looking at those ones as the desirable ones. I like the privacy. I like the privacy of the interior units. And so I think for me, thinking about how that's going to be, what I'm looking forward to is really seeing the finished product, seeing the grass laid, seeing people with their pets and living in our small little enclave all within the university district is going to really put a smile on my face and make me proud of the team at Crystal Creek and everything they've been able to accomplish.
That's tremendous. So do you have one of the little stickers on the map that has it reserved for Justin in the future? Is this a future end goal for you, or you're just going to wait and see how the sales pace goes?
Well, I'm probably going to wait and see. And it's not just my decision. I have a spouse that's involved in this.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I would just say that for me, I'm really excited about it. And I think that, for a lot of people, like when we talk about my spouse, I'd be very interested in taking one of the units. Her, not so much. However, once it's finally developed out, built out, and you get a sense of that walkability and that just that different lifestyle, it'll be interesting to see if the attitude changes as we get a little bit closer. And I think for a lot of our demographic, it's that exact same thing where you have one of the two partners very, very interested, and that's why they're coming back to our sales center once a month or once every couple of weeks to look on progress. Where the other one is maybe a little bit conservative, and I would just like to feel the size of the rooms. And although we've created renderings and you know, in our sales center have even created displays of what the living room will feel like with the fireplace and the kitchen layouts and that sort of thing. People still like to be able to walk the end unit and see the views that they're going to have and just feel the spaces.
Yeah, that's tremendous. Now, there is one unique feature to this community that is very reminiscent of the Taza project that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, that I think is worth bringing up and mentioning here. The University District is also being built on Crown land, on lease land. So when purchasers are looking at these luxury townhomes, they're looking to purchase the structure along with a land lease rather than a purchase of land. Now, in this community, this has been going on for a number of years. As you mentioned, the community launched 5, 6 years ago now. This hasn't really been much of an issue in terms of the purchasers that have been taking this on. Are you seeing in the sales center that there's become a bit more of an understanding around it, or is there pushback around it? Is this something that there's an education process to, or is it just part and parcel of the community at this point?
I think you said it bang on correct. It's a bit of an education piece. People have to understand that the university was gifted this land, and as such, because it's a gift, part of that is they can't turn around and sell it. And so part of the template that has been created by universities across the country is to enter into a lease. In this case, it's a 99-year lease, which has a renewable portion of 25 years. And understanding how that lease works and really the nuances and how it's different. You know, a lot of our customers have purchased vacation homes in Mexico or in the United States, and that's different than buying in Canada. When you're purchasing a home in Canada on leased land, there are some nuances and differences, although it acts very, very similarly to owning the piece of land. And so as people go through that education process and realize that, oh, well, if the lease ends, I still get paid out on my house that is sitting there. Nobody's going to be able to take it away. You know, understanding that there is renewals within the contract, understanding that it's a prepaid lease, so everything's been paid up for 99 years. And so most people are not going to have to worry about that in their lifetime.
Yeah.
But, you know, as we think of our next generation coming up or the generation, you know, after that, these are, you know, things that you can put in your will it to your family. There's no difference. You know, you're owning it without owning it. It's just a different way of ownership through a prepaid lease.
Yeah, and in all likelihood, the purchasers of the original structure, they're not going to be the long-term 99-year from now owners anyway. Just in terms of lifespan, but also in generational stuff. Like, I don't own assets that my grandparents owned. And I'm unlikely to see my grandchildren own assets that I own today. There's so much movement that happens in life. At some point down the road, whoever does own this will be navigating that renewal or navigating the end of the lease and the sale of the assets at that time. But that's so far down the road that in terms of influencing a purchase decision today, it really just doesn't seem super relevant.
Yeah, what I would say is of the, you know, call it if you had 100 people in a room and you all give the proper education, that at least 99 of those 100 people at the end of it are going to say, I get it. This is the exact same thing as what I'm used to, and I'm moving forward with it. You know, that 1 out of 100 person that may, you know, have reservations about still owning on leased land probably has reservations about owning on city of Calgary land as well. Yeah. So that's, I think, the best way to explain it. So yes, for sure. I mean, you know, if you purchase a home in the city of Calgary and you have title to it and whatnot, there's this thing called annexation that can happen. And so it's very, really not that much different. And so understanding those nuances and that education just gives you peace of mind in terms of what you're going forward with. And I would say it's been an absolute non-issue for us in terms of the sales process, that it's never an objection that is not overcome by anybody who ever brings it up. So
that's wonderful. Yeah, I love this community. It is such a dynamic and unique area in the city of Calgary. I live on the opposite end of town, and I love going up there for a dinner or a movie, as you mentioned, Kobe. Just taking in an opportunity to go visit this region in Calgary. The restaurants are great. The energy is great. It's such a lovely experience, especially when the weather's nice to be able to get outside and walk up and down those boulevards and see everything that this community has to offer. It really is a unique opportunity in the city of Calgary.
And I think one of the other things to talk about is like we are just scraping the ground on our first building, and we already have 25% of the project is pre-sold.
Yeah.
10 of the 40 units. That typically does not happen in most of our projects. The reality is, as it starts to come out of the ground, the database that we have collected over this past year is really going to get excited, and we do not. In a lot of projects, we're concerned about sales. I'm not concerned about sales on this project. It's more on the execution of getting it built out in a timely fashion, making sure we get tight cost controls in terms of where we're at. We're very happy with our pricing and where our margin is sitting right now. So, we do have the ability to increase prices if we want, depending on what the activity looks like. We don't anticipate doing that for this year. However, but by the end of this year, we're going to be very close to our first building being completed. We would hope that we would have, of the 5 buildings, probably building 5 already started. And so what we anticipate seeing is kind of every 2 months a building coming to fruition and being finished. And so being that we've got that program in place and our financing is in place to do that, we do have the ability to slow down progress if we don't see the sales pace that we anticipate. So that's one of the things that's really nice about being a builder, is you can kind of adjust that if you need to, and put a halt on things if things are not as strong as you would think. However, we also have the ability to crank things up and push things into the ground quicker if we do see a sales pace that we're expecting to see. So currently right now with the first one, the first building getting started, we would expect the next building in June. And then 2 months after that, that's really our construction progress, is every 2 months starting on a new building. We have 5 in total. We anticipate them taking about 11 months to complete in construction per building. Each building contains 7 units. And I believe one contains 5 units. Don't quote me on that, but that's I think what how the buildings are configured. And so we're excited to get underway and see this thing come to fruition. We still do have room within the limited partnership for investment dollars. And of course, as construction starts to ramp up, that's where we rely on those investment dollars to help us through a project. Although I would just say that this has been substantially de-risked from the biggest challenge we always have is sales. If we don't have the sales pace, that's when things take longer. And I would just say that we've met that pre-sale test of the price point is the right price point. Our costs are right now not going anywhere. We've had talks of tariffs and of course things like that, make us nervous, but I've been actually really proud of our suppliers and how they have responded. And actually we're seeing suppliers saying that they're going to hold on to pricing no matter what happens, and that they've committed to it, especially on our committed sites. Again, with the buildings where we have sales, we do have the ability to raise prices if we want going into this next year. We don't anticipate that, but going into 2026, that might be something we consider.
Yeah, that's tremendous. So if someone's listening to this or watching the video on YouTube and they're really interested in this project, they want more information, crystalcreekhomes.ca, the website has a whole section dedicated to this project. It's called The Guild. So if you're looking on the website and you want more information, you can definitely go to that. Justin, you mentioned you're likely holding pricing still for the end of throughout the end of 2025 at least. What is the current pricing for a unit in these projects?
Again, not remembering which ones have sold because there is a price difference, but on average about 1.4 million is kind of the price point of where these units sit. And I think, even coming to market last year in Calgary, the price point, I think people first saw that as, oh, it's a bit steep for what we've seen in the university district. I would say a year later, people are really coming back and now saying, man, that's reasonable pricing for what we're offering. And so it's always a challenge when you're starting to set the price and you want to keep it somewhat consistent throughout the project. I would just say that we're in a position where we could probably raise prices at the end of this year and still maintain our sales pace. And so that's more than likely something that we will look at, just even to create urgency in the market. So excited. I mean, it's a project that's coming together. There's still room from an investment standpoint. And this one, I believe has been de-risked substantially from where we were 12 months ago when it was just a concept and we were buying the land and, we didn't have proof of concept in terms of our pricing or our product or what we saw from clients coming back. So yeah, excited to get it underway and to see it to fruition and execute.
That's wonderful. So also, if you are local, if you're in the Calgary area, definitely head down to that sales center. It's open pretty much daily, I think, as of about 1 p.m. I think there's one day a week where it's not open. I don't remember which day it is, maybe Mondays, where it is not open, but the rest of the week it is open. Head down, have a look, walk through the sales center, see everything that this community has to offer. Go with some time so you can have a coffee or visit one of the restaurants there and really get a feel for the community. I think you'll really, really enjoy it. Koby, if you have follow-up questions, you want to talk about this investment opportunity, the way that they can reach you is by sending you an email. It's just Contenti at rethinkdiversify.com. Is the email address they can reach out to you. And then I know you're happy to sit down and talk one-on-one about people's individual situations. An investment like this isn't suitable for everyone, but Koby, you're good at sitting down and figuring out whether it's a good fit for people's timelines, risk profiles, the allocation that they're looking at, and that sort of stuff. So definitely take Koby up on that. We'll throw his contact information up at the end of the recording. We'll have a nice screen there that shows how you can reach out to him, but feel free to send him an email and I know he'd be happy to sit down and meet with you. Any final thoughts, gentlemen, before we wrap this one up?
I would just say to any of those potential investors out there that are in the city of Calgary or in Alberta that would like to come and visit, I'm just going to warn you to be careful because you may enter and you may not want to leave.
Yeah.
You may end up.
We've had a number of investors who have become unit purchasers because they go down to see the project, they fall in love with it. So.
Absolutely. So I'm just going to put that warning out there and to be prepared for that. And whether it's a Crystal Creek luxury townhome or it's something else that's being offered, it's very interesting how many people have just kind of wandered down there to kind of check it out and then end up with a rental unit or end up with something for a child that's going to be attending the university. It's just really interesting to me, the energy and the excitement around the community. And if you haven't visited, it is worth going to see. It doesn't feel like you're in Calgary when you're walking around.
Koby, any final thoughts before we wrap this one up for today?
Yeah, I would just say whether you're interested in this opportunity specifically or some of the other ones available with Crystal Creek, please don't hesitate to reach out. I know the University District 1 is restricted to what's called an accredited investor. However, the Mutual Fund Trust does accept a wider range of the type of investors that can take funds. And so that one is also investing alongside other investors in these projects. So there's lots of opportunity. And yeah, I'd be happy to chat.
Awesome. Thank you both so much. It's always fun sitting and talking, especially when we're talking about such an exciting project. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us. If you joined us live or watching the recording afterwards, we hope you found this valuable. As always, if you would like to be informed about future episodes as they're released, make sure you subscribe. We appreciate comments, likes, all the above. It helps with the algorithm and getting this out to more people. So yeah, thank you so much. We will see you again next week. This was an unusually scheduled episode, but we're going back to our regular schedule as of next week. So we will see you in 1 week's time. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.